How is it rocking, Dwayne Nation? Stay here because we are just about to get underway. In the meantime, please like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. We put out weekly sports content, and we want to continue to build up Dwayne Nation and the brand that is Dwayne Sports. Thank you all, and enjoy. Welcome in, Dwayne Nation. This is your host, Justin Paez, alongside Genoa Agudelo, and we are back for a big-time mock draft. We just got one in the books recently with my dad and our uncle. And now we got some friends in the building today. We got Brennan Langford, Antonio Araya. Brennan, let's start off. How you feeling today, my brother?
Doing good, man. Excited to be here.
Yes, sir. And I see that beautiful Kelly Green jersey you're rocking. And I just before we get started, from one Eagles fan to another, how are you feeling about the Philly Birds this year?
I'm feeling good. I feel like after last season, you start 10-1, and then, things kind of hit the fan. I'm looking forward to how we bounce back this year. We got a lot of good draft picks, filled some spots that we needed to get fixed, and so I'm excited to see what the season holds.
All right. If things go well and we maybe get a Super Bowl, in 2024, 2025, are we looking to buy ourselves a Saquon jersey as well? Continue the collection? Yeah. I love that. All right, and we got our second guest. He's rocking a Broncos jersey with us today. But Antonio Araya, welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling today, man?
I'm chilling. I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Thank y'all for having me on. So ready to talk some football with the boys.
Yes, sir. And I heard you're a players guy. So you dive into the fantasy. You know the players well. Is there a guy on in your eyesight that someone you're like looking forward to this season in 2024?
Main guy I'm really looking forward to watching this year is Jahmyr Gibbs. That's not really a surprise to many, but he lit it up last year whenever he started getting the ball a lot more. So I'm definitely looking to see him get going this season, and definitely having him on a couple of my fantasy squads as well. So
that's great. That's great. And we're glad to have you on. That's a good name to put out there. And Genoa, before we dive into the mock draft, how are you feeling today, man?
Yo, Dwayne Nation. Yo, what's up, guys? It's another mock draft. So excited to just be starting this fantasy football season, man. It's been so long. We waited, 8.5 months since, a championship week. So, hey, so excited to start getting it ready, man. And, hey, let's put together a squad, man. I'm so excited.
Hey, glad you're doing great, Genoa. Let's dive into this draft now because we got 16 rounds, lots of picks to cover. We got 10 teams, as you guys can see. It's half PPR, so that helps for some minds with guys getting receptions and everything. But let's get it started. Let me make sure everything's good with settings. Put some time so we don't run out of any. We're good there. All right, let's get it underway. And start this mock draft together, y'all. All right. Well, okay. Right as we get to Genoa, just to lay out the draft layout for us today, Genoa is at the third spot with Antonio at the 4. Brennan is at the 7, and I'm rocking the 9. So we're pretty spread out. Even though we got two, Antonio and Genoa are going to go head to head here and steal some picks from each other. As I'll try to do from Brennan as well. Okay, Genoa, you're at 3. You're starting us off today. Who you got at third?
So normally in this spot, people go cheetah, but I got to go with one of my favorite football players in all of the NFL, and that is Mr. Jamar Chase, Mr. Uno. So I like that there at the 3 spot. I know there's other people that might go with Tyreek there, but I'm gonna go with Jamar.
I like the Jamar. You go ahead, Antonio.
I was expecting you to go Reek, so I was gonna take Jamar. But if you're gonna make it that easy for me, I'll take Reek.
You get a healthy Joe Burrow back this year. Maybe that duo starts climbing up the ranks again.
Yeah,
I'm at 7. It's gonna be hard for me when Justin Jefferson falls to you at 7, regardless of QB. I think I'm gonna have to smash that.
Yeah,
that's a good pick like there. Yeah, I mean, if Darnold pulls out like a Josh Dobbs similar situation where he actually does play well, revitalizes his career, Justin Jefferson's going to be a top guy again. And he was still doing pretty solid with Mullins when they had, I think, a few games together.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But Jefferson's the talent. Yeah.
Who do y'all think is going to start for them? Official McCarthy or Darnold?
I think Darnold's starting the season. If they struggle, then they'll move to JJ. But you know what? I love hearing it every time, Janelle. I want to hear your take on JJ McCarthy.
I'm not the biggest JJ McCarthy fan at all, to be honest. I would have taken Bo Nix if I was the Vikings in that first round there, but I do think JJ McCarthy's going to be the starter by week 3 for sure. I don't really think Darnold's going to last too long there, so it'll definitely be JJ McCarthy throughout the whole season, even though I'm not the biggest fan, but hey, it is what it is at this point.
All right, sounds good. All right, so Brennan, you got Jefferson. A.J. Brown goes off the board, which leaves me with Bijan Robinson, a guy who I wholeheartedly believed in last year. Obviously, got my heart broken. But this year's a new year, you know. Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris, new coaches, Kirk Cousins in the building. And they've been talking him up big time. I've heard Raheem Morris just about every week, every other week, talk about how they're excited to use Bijan. So I'm not even going to waste time. I'm going Bijan Robinson as my first pick. Puka and Jahmyr Gibbs go off the board next, and we're back to me. Do I want to stack running back? It's just tough. I mean, like, I do believe in Saquon. I do believe in JT. But I really think there's some really good values at running back later in the draft. So I'm going to go Garrett Wilson, kind of go my one receiver, one running back. Garrett Wilson obviously is a target hog. Aaron Rodgers is returning, thank goodness, because we're tired. I know, Antonio, Zach Wilson is on your Broncos now, but he is the worst. And I'm sure you agree with that.
He is the absolute worst. But I still don't hate him as much as I hate Desmond Ridder. I cannot stand Desmond Ridder after last year. And I trusted Bijan too, so that's where that hatred stems from, I guess.
Yeah, for real. What are your thoughts though with Bijan now? Are you happy to jump back on, or are you too hurt?
I mean, I would be happy to jump back on. The issue is, in the 3 leagues I'm in, one of them I'm picking at 4. I would not take Bijan that high, and the other 2 I'm picking at 9 and 10. So he would not get to me. That's what I'm thinking. So that is also a reason why I'm so big on Gibbs this year, is because I'm definitely going to get a chance to get him that late. So
sounds good. All right, well I got Garrett Wilson. I like him. I think he's due for a big season. We've seen the Aaron Rodgers hyper target one guy in an offense, and Garrett Wilson's the clear guy there. So I like what I got there. Jonathan Taylor off the board next, and we're back to Brennan.
All right, I am sitting at receiver already in the first. As big as an Eagles fan as I am, I'm going to have to go Marvin Harrison. I am a big Marvin Harrison guy this year. I think he might be one of the most ready NFL prospects at receiver in a long time. So I'm going to have to take him right here.
Yeah, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier in the last episode. Marvin, I mean, you looked at Jamar Chase when he got drafted early in the first round. People might have been skeptical because it's a rookie, not proven. He was the wide receiver 5. Marvin here looking at gone like wide receiver 9 or 10. And he's just as good of a talent, if not better. So I like the Marvin there. And a high-powered passing offense with Kyler. So yeah, great pick on you there. We're jumping back to Antonio. What you got?
So here's my problem here. The Falcons are a revamped squad. And I do think Drake London's going to be good. But I don't know if I want to entrust him with my second overall pick.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, Devontae, probably still the best wide receiver skill-wise in the league.
Argue that.
But that depth chart at quarterback is just, I'm not liking it at all. Even though Gardner Minshew did put up numbers last year with the Colts. But honestly here, though, I would probably go with Mr. London.
Wow, we've had 2 drafts already, Justin, where Drake London has gone in the second. This is the second straight draft we've done, and Drake London is in the second. That's crazy.
He's got. I mean, if you look at it, right, he got. I think he had like 29% of the target share in Atlanta last year. Now he's got a good quarterback. I mean, he put 2 and 2 together. Hopefully a fire starts. But I hear you, definitely.
Well, that makes it easy for me to go Mr. 1-7 here in Las Vegas. I know the quarterback situation is rough. But I'm still confident in it, and I have my 2 receivers stack. I come back around, and I'm sorry, but I got to go with Derrick Henry. I think that's a great spot for him in the 3rd round. He's going to get goal line carries, so I'm feeling good about my draft so far.
You just made it very easy for me again. I have to take Achane. In my opinion, probably the most explosive running back in football right now, and that speed does not play. I definitely think he'll be taking over that backfield this year for sure.
And we have an Aggie in the chat. So Justin, my cousin, goes to Texas A&M. He loves his Aggie. So you're just tooting this horn.
I also go to Texas A&M.
I'll
Okay.
bet. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you picked Devon, giving him some love. That's
And
good.
I always support my Aggies, man.
Yes, sir. I love it. All right, Brennan, you're back up. 2 tight ends just went before you. But what you got going?
I'm back up. I have 2 receivers on my team already. For me, Achane was the end of a tier. You start getting into guys like Pacheco, Rashad White, James Cook, who I think will have good years, but I think that first tier of running backs is over. I'm going to go ahead and pick a guy playing in Houston, Nico Collins. Although that wide receiver room is filled now with Stephon Diggs coming over, I think Nico's the one. And I think he'll once the season starts, I think he'll stamp his place as the one.
All right, I like Nico. I mean, I agree with most of what you said, which makes me a little bit off of him in the third, just because of how packed that receiver room is. I feel like it'll be hard to find consistency with all 3. I mean, one game's going to be a Diggs game, one game's going to be a Dell game, Nico game. I think all of the above. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, but you did it, and Diggs goes off the board right after Nico. Yeah. So you see how close they are. I'm going to keep the receiver train going, and it's between 2 guys to me. It's between Evans and Debo. And I know I'm an Aggie, and I just talked about giving Aggies love, but I'm actually going to go Debo Samuel. I just think, I mean, with the chance that Ayuk is out of town, that'll change things a lot. And then I'm looking at, I mean, his ADP right now this season is a wide receiver 14. I don't think people look back on 2023 and said he was a star. I think they said he did pretty well. Well, in half PPR leagues, Debo was the wide receiver 12. So he was technically a low-end wide receiver 1, early wide receiver 2. And so I think this year he could be even better if he needs more, and he might be getting more work if Ayuk is out of town. So I'm going to go with Debo Samuel here on a good team like the 49ers.
I actually agree with you. I would do the exact same thing. In a lot of mocks I've done, I'm taking Debo in that 3rd round from 9. So
yeah, and I think it was Evans 31 now. I mean,
yeah, he's Mr. Consistency, but the age is just still a factor for me. I like that sweet spot where they're not too old, but they're a veteran for sure, and that's exactly what Debo is. So
yeah. All right, good. Well, I'm glad you're making me feel better. So okay, well, I'm back on the clock after Evans and Ayuk go. Part of me really wants to steal Jalen Hurts from Brennan because he's wearing the jersey right now. But I'm gonna I have to go with Pacheco, who I took in the last mock, just to add to my running back room. I know he doesn't get a lot of catches, so there's issues there. But I mean, this guy, I mean, he's been consistent with this team and the Chiefs last year. They kind of changed their offense a little bit, where they were running the ball a lot more. Jerick McKinnon is no longer on the roster, and so I think he's got an opportunity to continue that streak. And I don't think anything's really changed within that offense to make him become a lesser of a player. I mean, literally, this is their running back room I'm looking at right now. They kept Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They have a rookie in Deneric Prince, and they got Keontae Ingram, former Cardinal. So it's pretty dim, and I think Pacheco is just – I mean, he runs mad. I know everybody knows how his game style, and I think that'll hype me up, so I got to pick him there. But, Brennan, you're back up. Is you going with Jalen?
I'm back up. I was expecting a snipe there for sure. Honestly, if you hadn't picked Pacheco and picked Hurts, then I would have picked Pacheco, but you gave me the layup. I'm going to go ahead and go with my guy Hurts.
All right, Jalen with the tush push. Tush push is still legal, everybody.
Yeah.
So Hurts is getting double-digit touchdowns again, even with Saquon, I'd say.
Yeah, 3 years in a row with double-digit touchdowns. So even when you add a guy like Saquon to your roster, it just opens up possibilities and looks, and now you got to pay attention to that guy. So I think it'd be another good year on the ground.
I like it, and now you're following the 0 RB strategy. You got no running back so far, 3 really solid more than solid wide receivers, and a quarterback. But Antonio, 2 receivers go off right before you. What are you going with?
So either way, I would not have taken either of the 2 receivers in front of me, but I'm also at a crossroads here. I'm definitely not taking quarterback this early. And DJ Moore, man, I had him last year on my squad. I still think he's the most explosive player on the Bears offense, but now there's a lot of mouths to feed, and that scares me. In a league with 3 receivers, I would probably go DJ Moore here, but instead, I'm gonna go Rashad White.
All right, Rashad
Filling
White
my
off
running
the
backs
board.
right away.
I mean, he was a stud last year, putting
Oh
in
yeah,
some seriously good numbers. This year looks a little different. They lose their offensive coordinator to the Panthers, who really he revitalized that team in my opinion. But he was literally the running back 2 from the last 11 weeks of the season. So I mean, he's right up there. He should still continue that production too. They don't have any other RBs to take any touches from him. So I like that. I like Rashad White there.
I do think he might regress a little bit from last year, especially because they were. Well, we did see a lot of shine from Baker last year, and Rashad turned up at the end of the season. It's going to be interesting to see if he can start strong this year as opposed to last year, and keep it going throughout the whole year. So,
definitely a good point. Well, hey, Jano, I know you took Rashad White in our last mock. How are you feeling that he's off the board now?
Yeah, I'm still a believer of Rashad White. I just think that there's not really much players in the running back room that like kind of can threaten his, share. He also gets a lot of catches off the backfield. His stats look something like 6 catches, 50 yards, but then, 10 rushes, 40 yards, but he has a touchdown along the way. So that's pretty good, for anybody who drafts him. But here for me, I'm going to go running back as well. And I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. I think he's just a little bit under the radar in this year's draft. I know if he gets hurt, Zach Charbonnet is already a number RB1, but I'm not too concerned about that. I like Kenneth Walker. And so, yeah.
It's a good, solid pick. You're back on the clock.
Back on the clock. Cooper Kupp, Moore, Mahomes, Metcalf are all picked here. So let me see. I want to get a receiver, and I got to get an Eagle. I got to get Devontae Smith. Those 3 receivers I got, those 2 running backs, I'm feeling really good just off the bat here.
It's a solid pick. I like it too. I mean, Smith, I feel like he has somewhat of a cap ceiling due to AJ being there and how they're kind of a run-first team, but he's still to me, he has a high enough floor where he should be a good wide receiver too, and you have him as your 3rd, so nice pick. But yeah, Antonio, go ahead.
I still really don't want to go quarterback this early, but there's 2 good options on the board. I also really like James Cook this year. I do think that they obviously lost Diggs this offseason, lacking some weapons, and on the receiver side of the ball, they have a bunch of unproven weapons, maybe guys that have never been a true one before in their life. So I'm thinking James Cook here just because I think that usage is gonna be through the roof this year. So going James Cook.
You stole him, you son of a gun. Good pick. I really liked that. I was on to James Cook. I was waiting for it, but good selection there.
I got sniped twice. I was hoping maybe Kenneth Walker got back to me, and then if not, maybe James Cook, and they're both gone.
That's rough.
All right, let's see. I need to go running back here. That's what I would like to do. Don't really want to go Joe Mixon just because I have Nico. Don't want to have stacked guys in one offense. It's tough. Kamara, you got a guy that somehow finds a way to get it done, but he's 29 now. You got, I don't know, man. I think Keandre Miller has a little bounce back here.
Yeah, he could steal it.
He might be affecting that offense a little bit. I think I'm going to go Aaron Jones here. Although I just talked about age, he's a little bit older, but I think coming out of Green Bay and headed to the Vikings, their offense is kind of going to be trying to figure it out. You got a brand new quarterback, a lot of checkdowns, a lot of runs. So I'm gonna go Aaron Jones here.
I think Aaron Jones. I think he's going to either boom or he's going to bust. I don't really see like a range in between where he's just kind of like a solid, consistent piece. Like we saw it in Green Bay. Like he would get those catches. He had those like 3 or 4 touchdown games in Green Bay where you're just like, wow. And then the next game, they decide to put in A.J. Dillon for 50% of the snaps, and then it's annoying. But he doesn't have to worry about that anymore as he's in Minnesota. So I like that pick. Stroud goes right after after Aaron Jones, and it's back to me. Thinking about it, I could go my third running back here. I do like Mr. Mixon. At the wide receiver, I feel like we've broken the tiers after Amari and Devonta. This next group, I think I'm at the wait on. I could go tight end, but maybe I'll get one after the next two picks. So I'm gonna go with Joe Mixon here. Get my third running back on the squad. Get a Texan. I mean, you look at Mixon and you see now he's an older back, but they did just pay him for 3 years. He was always he always seemed to be a top 10, top 15 running back with Cincinnati. He's still on a really good offense, and the Texans, you could argue, even a better offense. And so I like that Mixon pick here. What are your thoughts across the board?
I like it as well. The only issue with that, in my opinion, is we all know the kind of wide receiver weapons that the Texans have, and I think that offense is going to be extremely pass heavy. But at the same time, who else is going to take Mixon's goal line work?
Yeah.
So he's still going to have his production there for sure. Maybe not as much touches per game as maybe he had with Cincy. But I think regardless, the production's there, and the value's also there at the later round pick with 5. So that's I think that's a good pick for you.
Sweet, nice. I need Antonio on the pod more. He is continuing to boost up my picks. I love it. All right, well, I get another pick, and I'm glad he came back to me. We were talking about this the last episode. It's between Mark Andrews and Dalton Kincaid here, and I'm gonna pick the guy that I feel like is. I don't know if he's going under the radar per se, but I just view it as Mahomes latched on to a star tight end, and they both became absolute studs together. And then I think Josh Allen could do the same thing with Kincaid now, because Kincaid looks to be the number one option for the Bills. So I'm going to go with Dalton Kincaid, get my tight end, and then T. Higgins off the board, and we're back to Brennan.
I like it. I was hoping he fell to me. You got guys like Keon Coleman on the offense now, but I definitely think Kincaid will take the one, especially early, knowing that offense already being comfortable with Allen. So, let's see, man. I'm thinking, I think I'm going to get my second running back here. I like some of the wide receivers. I already got 3 guys. I'm going to go with a guy, DeAndre Swift in Chicago. That team is kind of sort of like what Houston's looking at. You got 3 receivers that are going to command the ball a lot, but then you got a pass catching back and a new quarterback, and so a lot of checkdowns, a lot of plays made for Swift. You saw that sometimes in Philly last year, so I'm going to go with Swift.
Sweet. I know we've talked about the Bears at a good amount. Are you worried about the other running backs in that backfield with Swift, or you think Swift will kind of be the commander of the touches?
No, I think he's going to be more of like a receiving back, but he's a great back. He's still very young. He wasn't drafted that long ago, and everywhere he's gone, he hasn't been bad. He was great in Detroit. He just got injured, and then his 1 year in Philly, he was great, but towards the end, that offense just got stagnant, and they just went downhill. So I think that's why it limited his production, but I think it should be a fresh start there in Chicago. The question is that offensive line there in Chicago and the play calling, like, can't they get the ball to the right, receivers and running backs there? But I do like Swift there, and I think it's a great pick to get him there in the 6th round. So I'll give Brennan his due there for getting him.
Nice. All right, well, we're on to Antonio. You have your 6th pick. Go ahead.
So I do have all my strong positions, I would say, and my flex filled out already. Again, in a 3 wide receiver league, I probably wouldn't go here. I'm looking at Tank Dell. Reason being, he's going to be able to be on my bench. I won't have to worry about taking the risk with starting him, and I'll be able to see how that offense ends up playing out with all the stars they have now. Yeah. My other option would have been Mark Andrews, but I'm a little scared of the injury that he's coming off. I'm a huge Mark Andrews guy. In the past 3 years, I think I've had him on multiple of my teams. But he is getting up there in age. There are more weapons on that offense now. I just feel like he might be fading out a little bit in the coming years. So for that reason, I'm going Tank Dell.
Tank Dell off the board. So all 3 wide receivers for the Texans are off. Jano, you didn't get any Texan, but who are you getting at this pick here in the 6th?
I'm going to go ahead and get Mark Andrews. I feel like if he is hurt, like Antonio mentioned, I can always just wait till the 13th, 14th round and just grab Likely. Or I can just draft my whole way and pick up Likely after the draft. So I'm pretty confident there. If Andrews doesn't work out, I always have Likely. No one's going to be thinking Isaiah Likely at all. So, Kittle gets picked. Kamara, Ramondre Stevenson, and Connor get picked. So now that leads me to wanting to draft a quarterback. And you know what? I'm going to go with Joe Burrow so I can get that Burrow and Chase stack there. So once again, I'm loving my team so far. And yeah.
I love me a good stack too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the stack.
I love the stacks. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Antonio. Now that you got Dell, you got 3 wide receivers, 3 RBs. Are you dipping your toe in any other position?
I am going to go quarterback here, and I'm going to go Richardson. I believed in AR last year. I picked him up, and he was showing signs of greatness the first, 4 or 5 weeks that he played? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he just went down with that injury. I still think he's going to bounce back and be the same type of running threat that he was last year. Similar to maybe a Jalen Hurts in terms of touchdown production on the ground. And that offense has a lot more weapons too. So I really believe in AR this year.
Nice. I like that pick. Honestly, I think he has, out of like this range of quarterbacks, he has like the highest probability of being, I think he has like that potential of being the quarterback 1. With just that rushing upside. He's a big quarterback, so he could do his own tush push if he needed it. But yeah, I like AR. That's a good pick there. But yeah, okay, so AR off the board, Najee gets off the board in the 7th, and then Kyler off next. And Brennan, you're up.
All right. I'm thinking about going Christian Kirk for the Jags. I'm not the biggest Trevor Lawrence fan. I'm actually a avid hater of Trevor Lawrence, but I think you get him looking at probably the wide receiver 1. Obviously, you got Brian Thomas coming in there. You got Gabe Davis from the Bills, but I think Christian Kirk obviously going to be most comfortable in that offense, and just somehow every time watching those games, he just finds himself open down the field. So I'm going to love him as a backup.
Yes, and I have to acknowledge another Aggie off the board. Let's keep going. Let's keep it rolling. Good stuff. But like even past that, you're right. Like he seems like the most consistent piece on that offense. With Ridley gone, that's 136 targets vacated. I don't think all of that's going to newly drafted rookie Brian Thomas. So Kirk is a good solid pick there. Okay, Pitts is off the board, and I'm back to me. Yay, I like to pick. Let's see. I got 3 running backs, 2 wideouts, and a tight end, which makes me think I should go wide receiver or quarterback. I could go Dak. You know what? I'm going to go Dak. I'm going to save no time there. I'm going to go Dak Prescott. I believe he was like the quarterback 2 or 3 from week 8 on. He could have even been the quarterback 1. He was going crazy, him and CD. And I feel like it's going to be running back the same story. And they might even have a worse defense, which should allow them to pass it more. And the running back room is pretty mess. So they're going to have to lean on Dak. He's playing for a contract. And so I'm going to go with Dak Prescott here, fill in the quarterback position. I get another pick. So I'm going to go I could go running back. Zamir. I am a little fan of Mr. Mostert. Not a big guy, Keenan guy. Dang. I don't like any of those, to be honest with you, right now. I'm going to go running back. I'm going to actually jump down here. I'm going to go Zach Moss. Now, I believe he was the RB4 before Taylor kind of came back and took his role back. So we saw Zach Moss kind of like revitalize himself when we did not expect it. Now he goes to Cincy where Joe Mixon leaves, so all those touches are up for grabs. Some people are worried about Chase Brown. I don't think I'm that worried about him. He's a receiving back. Yeah, he could steal some catches, but he's not a good pass blocker. Zach Moss actually was one of the better running back pass blockers. So I think this guy is a big sleeper on my boards in the 8th. So I got Zach Moss. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I am gonna go Zamir.
Samir
I'm
White.
Great
gonna go
pick.
Zamir White from Georgia. I really like his game. I don't think Alexander Madison's gonna be taking any touches from him anytime soon. It'll be interesting to kind of see what that offense looks like. But you got a new head coach, so we'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah, and Genoa pointed out in the last episode, Zamir over the back, 4 games, right? He was a
Yeah.
top 12, top 15 RB.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of got the whole offense to himself. Like, as you mentioned, Brennan, I don't think Alexander Madison's scaring anybody to steal touches. And they even came out and said how he's a depth piece. So, Samir White,
Yeah.
I like it there. All right, Antonio, what you got?
So I am gonna go receiver again. Keep filling out that depth. And perfect guy to do so. Another guy that I can sit on my bench and watch him play out. Xavier Worthy.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I don't have to say too much about the guy. 4.25 40. He's got probably the best quarterback in football throwing him the football. So I think the production is going to be there 1,000%. But again, I would let him sit on my bench maybe a week or two, maybe even 3 to see how he fits into that offense. But I project by like week 8, 9, he's gonna be putting up numbers every single week. So
Yeah, and he's not just a deep threat. I feel like some people think he's fast. He's just a deep threat. At Texas, he was catching everything. He was a possession guy, wasn't he, Jano?
yeah, he's
absolutely.
better in the slot as well.
Yeah.
All right, Jano, what you
Couldn't
got?
have been a better landing spot for him.
Oh,
Absolutely. And a great offense, too. Great offense, scheming wise. For me, man, there's some options for me. Let me look. I do need a running back. So you know me, Justin. I'm gonna get my guy Nick Chubb. I know he's hurt, but I got to get him right now because I do think by week 5 he'll be back to 100%. Week 4, week 5 he should be back, and then it's back to me. So I'm gonna need a wide receiver, and let's go Calvin Ridley. I think he could be good in Tennessee. We'll see if Will Levis can take off there in Tennessee, and they do have Hopkins there, so it's not too much coverage on Ridley. So I'm good with that pick there.
Yeah, and what, Nick Chubb, you draft him, just slap him on your IR for however long he's probably put on there.
Yeah.
And then for Ridley, I'm a little worried just because Will Levis, we don't know, but I think there's like 92 million reasons why Ridley could be a good pick.
Yeah.
They threw him a lot of dollars, so I like it there. All right, pretty nice. Let's move on.
I am going to fill out the rest of my starting lineup here and go with a PPR demon, Mr. Evan Ingram.
Nice.
Most receptions by a tight end. The touchdown production wasn't there last year until toward the back end of the season. I don't think he had a touchdown until like week 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's going to get the targets, and at least from the tight end position, that's what I'm looking for, is at least a little bit of consistency outside those top like 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, he was the tight end too. He was the tight end too last year. Isn't that wild enough? With all those catches, he led.
Yeah, and minimal touchdowns. So
yeah, nice. All right, Brennan, what you got?
I'm also going to go tight end. I'm going to go David Njoku. With that team, like you said, having Chubb out, having questions with, does Jerry Jeudy still got it? I think last year he had a great year. I think I'm hoping they'll build on top of that. So I'm going to fill out my tight end spot with Njoku.
And I think
Deshaun Watson plays. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
No, go ahead, What you
I was going to say if Deshaun Watson plays, historically he's always kind of looking for his tight ends in the red zone off the play action. So, but yeah.
No, I like that. I like that pick. And Njoku, I believe, over the back 6-7 weeks, definitely when Flacco showed up, I think he was the tight end 1.
Yeah.
Like, he was phenomenal over that back stretch. So Njoku's a good pick there. All right, to me now, I'm looking at it and I was like, dang it, I actually only had 2 receivers through 8 rounds, so I definitely need to look and dive into that. See if there's a good wide receiver I can draft. You know what? I'm gonna go with Deontay Johnson. As I feel like I've mentioned all offseason, I'm a huge Dave Canales guy. He's the new head coach there. And then I'm sure y'all saw the interview this past week. They were like, who's going to help run your offense well? And he literally mentions Deontay Johnson, drops the name. And so I expect big things. And with Thielen last year, through the first half, he was a top 5 wide receiver, had major games, and he played like a slug out there. So Deontay Johnson's a better pick, a better player, and I think has a good chance to be a good wide receiver there. Then we're in our next one, and looking at it, I could go wide receiver. I could go D-Hop maybe. Christian Watson, J-Mo. None of those guys are too exciting. No, I'm not going to do Javonte. You know what? I actually am. I'm going to finish my running backs out. I'm going to get Javonte Williams, the Broncos player. It was weird. I feel like Sean Payton's been a little wishy-washy. He said that, Javonte could not make the team, and then Javonte took all first-team snaps this week. And so and he's coming 2 years off the ACL. He needed that extra year to get back to it. Obviously, he didn't look good last year. But he tore his ACL and his LCL. That's a major. That's more than people think. And so I think that's a good pick there as my 10th round pick.
I think Sean Payton said that just to light a little bit of a fire under him because he knows last year wasn't up to the expectation. So
yeah,
I don't think you could ever not have a player like that on your team. He's obviously shown already that he is good enough to play somewhere. So
nice, yeah. Good. All right, Brennan, what you got?
I'm up. I'm going to go receiver here. I like Brian Thomas. Unfortunately, I already picked Kirk. So I'm going to go with my guy, Keon Coleman. I like Kincaid, obviously. I think Keon could step in there and be the one. He was a dog at Florida State, especially if people start keying in on Kincaid in the red zone, then you got a guy like Keon who can go up and get the ball. So I'm hoping he'll do well. I picked him up in my dynasty team, so a little bit of bias there, but hoping he does well this year.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be great.
Yeah, all right, Antonio, what do you got here now at pick round 10?
See, at this point in the drafts, I usually regret going quarterback quite early because there's still guys like Caleb and Brock Purdy who, in my opinion, Brock Purdy is the perfect fantasy quarterback. All you need from him is to throw you the 2 touchdowns a game, 200 yards, and he's going to get you the 20 points you need.
Yeah.
Obviously, I already have AR. I am lacking running back depth, but I'm definitely not taking Eckler. So I think I'm going to trust another rookie on my squad and go with Brian Thomas.
All right. Another wide receiver. That's your 5th. Obviously, Thomas, the first rounder out of LSU. Do you have any worries? I mean, he was the second fiddle at LSU, but obviously he had Malik Neighbors, as the one.
My worry is Trevor Lawrence. Simple as that. I think that offense has all the pieces they need to succeed. But can Trevor Lawrence lead them to that promised land they're looking for? I really don't know. So again, that is a guy that I'm more than fine leaving on my bench. So
yeah, it's fair. You don't even have to worry about starting him. So yeah, good point. All right, Jano, what do you got?
I want to take Austin Eckler just for some old time's sake, some nostalgia, but I'm gonna actually take his teammate Brian Robinson, and I want to take Brian Robinson just because I feel like he's more of a pure rusher. I feel like in Washington it's just tough to get those rushing yards if you're Eckler's size. And in that offense, I feel like Cliff Kingsbury is going to kind of favor Robinson just because of the age. And not only that, he's been in Washington longer. So I'll go with Brian Robinson. Obviously, Eckler gets taken. Ferguson, Trey Benson, who I really like, and Purdy, as Antonio was just talking about. But I'm going to go – let's see, man. I'm going to go – let's go and add Christian Watson for some more wide receiver depth there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Touchdown, man. All right, I like that. I like the B-Rob pick. I'm all aboard that train right now. I don't think Eckler's got the boost left to really steal anything from Robinson too much, and then a rookie's going to want to rely on his big running back. So I like that there. But yeah, and Watson's a good solid pick too. So I know I bet you wanted some Ferguson. Did you want any Ferguson? I know you have Andrews. I know you picked Ferguson last.
Yeah, I had Ferguson last mock, so I was like, let me change it up a little bit because Ferguson is going to be a stud at the tight end position this year as well, just because CD is going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah. All right, Antonio.
Here I'm going to get away from the receivers for a little bit. I'm going to take Mr. Tajay Spears.
Dang it.
Ooh.
I think that he is the RB1 in that room, especially after what Pollard showed us last year. Although they did pay him, I think Taji's shown that he deserves to get some touches in that offense. And if it becomes a battle mid-season for who's going to get the most touches, I really think that he would beat out Pollard. Maybe not in the receiving game, but definitely on the ground.
Yeah, that's a great pick there.
I like Spears as a receiving back too. He took some Derrick Henry.
He is good. He is good. I think Pollard's best aspect is receiving, though.
Yeah.
All right, Brennan. It looks like he sniped Tyjae from your reaction. But who you got here?
He did. I was really hoping he was going to make it back. I'm going to go with a guy who I could put on my bench, and if worst comes to worst, you got to throw him in. Gives you some touchdown upside with Cortland Sutton. I think last year there was a lot of times where you're just not trying to start anybody from that Denver defense, and all of a sudden Sutton goes 5 games with a touchdown. So you got a new QB coming in there. We'll see how Bo Nix does, but I like it.
Yeah, and he just got a restructured contract to make some more money. So Denver's spending to keep him around and happy. So, and he's a wide receiver 1. You know it's a bad offense, but in the 11th, take what you can. I like
Take it.
Yeah. So all right, moving to me. I think it's pretty clear what I'm going to do here. I only have 3 wide receivers, so I'm going to dive into that, and I'm going to go with Jameson Williams. The talk of the town from Detroit has been that they're wanting to use him more this season. Obviously, Josh Reynolds is a Bronco. He left, and so there's vacated targets for Williams to kind of get and kind of become what he was drafted to be in the first round a handful of years ago. So I'm going to go Jameson Williams. I get another pick. Okay. I took Dak as my first quarterback. Maybe I should go with another. You know what? I'm going to get Caleb Williams. I feel like he was a first overall pick, but I think he's slightly going under the radar in fantasy. Like they're picking, Jaden Daniels, Tua, Herbert over him. Caleb Williams is being viewed as a generational talent. He's got the best setup I've ever seen for a rookie starting quarterback, you could argue. And so I got my QB2 locked up. Brennan, what you got?
Wanted to go running back, and I saw Zeke's name up the top, so I'm going to change that. I'm also going to get my backup quarterback. I'm going to go Jared Goff. They just extended him. Got a great offense. I think that team is going to be a problem this year. So I would love Goff as my backup.
Love it.
Yeah, he got paid. I like it too. What do we think?
Okay, well, I just got sniped by Team 5 here, the CPU. I was going to take Hawkinson and leave him on my bench as well. I don't know. I would want to go running back here. I don't want Zeke. I think he's too old. And Corum, I feel like there's just too many running backs in that room. It's going to be a committee for sure. So I'm going to go again, another rookie, A.D. Mitchell.
Wow, rookie.
Oh, that's a great pick.
I like
You
it.
got all the rookie wide receivers.
Yeah, all of them.
Wow. I love that pick. I think A.D. Mitchell is going to have a better I think he's a better pick than Brian Thomas is. I think he should go higher. But you have 2 Texas receivers, like you got some Longhorns there. For me, I think I might need another quarterback. So let's go. Oh man, Herbert got picked already. I would have loved to have Herbert as a backup. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go with let's go with Cole Kmet, right? He's the only tight end in that offense, right? I know the Bears is loaded, right?
They did they brought in Gerald Everett.
That's who it was. Yeah, not too worried about that. Dobbs, Samuel, Elliott, and Brown all get picked here. None of the guys I was looking at. Let me go with Aaron Rodgers here. I'm kind of mad. I still think I'm not really a believer with him with the Jets, but I think here in the 13th round as my backup QB, I think I'm feeling pretty decent about that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty solid. Fantasy, we didn't like his last year in Green Bay. We didn't. I don't remember him being a super high fantasy scorer, but he's got a good offensive setup for the most part. They got their O-line improved. Obviously, they drafted Fashanu, and they traded for Morgan Moses. So there's that, and then of course Brees, Wilson, a returning Mike Williams. the Yak King and Malachi Corley. It's a good setup. Yeah. All right. Nice. All right, Tony, you getting another rookie wide receiver or what?
I'm not. I'm actually going to take a running back here. Hopefully gives me like 8 weeks of production with Mr. Nick Chubb out, but I'm going to go Jerome Ford. He put up the numbers last year while Chubb was out, and I do think that it's going to take a little bit longer for Chubb to come back from that absolutely horrendous knee injury from last year.
Yeah.
So
That's a great pick, actually. I think that might be like, I know 13th round, like a 13th round pick can be like the steal of the draft, but that arguably could be. I mean, we could see Chubb didn't just have like a regular ACL, like it was pretty ugly. And Ford, I like the Ford guy there. Ford, nice. All right, Brennan.
I am now going to go running back. I'm going to go Chuba Hubbard. I really like what they're doing in Carolina. Obviously, you got a guy like who was their rookie running back? Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah.
Brooks.
You got a guy like Brooks coming off an injury, so you don't know whether he's going to be ready in those first couple of weeks. So you got a guy like Chuba where if something hits the fan bad with my running backs, I can throw him in and then kind of see how that offense plays out later.
Yeah. Smart to look at. All right. And I mean, Dave Canales just was the play caller for Rashad White last year, and we saw him kind of take to new levels. So if Brooks isn't ready to go, Chuba could be a good play. All right, moving to me, I need one more wide receiver on my team, at least one more wide receiver. And I'm looking at Tyler Lockett, Rashid Shaheed, and Josh Palmer. Those are my three. For Lockett, I think JSN's going to be involved more this year.
Yeah.
Lockett's getting older, so that one's meh. Rashid Shaheed, Derek Carr seemed to like him for some reason, but then he would disappear. But also Mike Thomas is gone. And then Josh Palmer is the only returning star, like besides QJ, to the Chargers, and Herbert needs a number one. Dang, that one's tough. You know what? I know I said Jason, but I'm going to go with Lockett. He's been more reliable over the last handful of years, so I'm going to go with Lockett there. And then I already have two quarterbacks, so I'm going to look at – let me see if there's any guys I'd like to take. You know what? I'm going to do it because last time Genoa got to steal Rico late. I'm going to go with Rico Dowdle just in case he breaks out and becomes something more than a 14th round pick. So I like Rico there. Yeah.
I like that pick. It's up to me again. I'm going to go running back again with Jalen Wright in Miami. I think he's got a little bit of an A-chain build, speed guy. And so I'm really excited about kind of what, obviously, that room is filled with running backs. But who knows how long Mostert's going to be there. Maybe you get a little committee with A-chain and Wright. So I like him.
Nice. I agree with that same build as A-Chain. Both of those running backs above him with A-Chain and Mostert, they get hurt a lot. So Wright could be slotting in good. So good. All right, but yeah, go ahead, Antonio. What you think?
Here, I'm just gonna go ahead and take my backup QB, Kirk Cousins, coming off that ACL, but he has, or not the ACL, the Achilles, but great offense over there, a lot of weapons. As a backup again, I think he's gonna be just fine. So.
Well, here I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna start off the defensive trend. Let's go with the Ravens defense.
Okay.
I like it.
Interesting selection there. Baltimore's got who do they have week 1? They play Kansas City week 1. Interesting.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Dang it.
Maybe pick somebody up on the wire for that week.
Yeah. Just for week 1.
Funny. All right. Well, you got your next pick. Are you gonna save that defensive pick? Or are you going elsewhere?
No. I'm actually. Let me get Mike Williams. How many receivers do I have? I think I have 6 now. I think Mike Williams, yes, he's very, very injury prone, but hey, maybe he can work out with my backup quarterback, Aaron Rodgers.
You like the stack. All right, Antonio.
I got sniped by Team 2 again. I was gonna go Jets defense just simply because their schedule is absolutely insanely easy. I really don't know. I like Steelers defense. I also like the Cowboys defense. And since it's a better team, I'm just gonna go Cowboys defense.
Solid. Very nice.
All right. Who would I be without taking Philly? We got some spots filled up this year in the secondary, so I like our defense coming in this year, so I'm gonna pick Philly.
It's
Yeah,
time for that second Super Bowl.
That's what I'm
They
talking
need
about.
it. And Vic Fangio is the new DC there, and he kind of turned the Dolphins' defense around last year, with Ramsey and stuff. So I like that. All right. I got 2 picks left. I got to go defense and kicker. I'm looking at down the barrel. Nobody's got a kicker, and I just want to get the best kicker in my opinion, which is Brandon Aubrey. He was hitting every single kick in the that he wanted to, and it was awesome for Dallas. I had him last year in my main league, so I'm good with that. And then the defense, I took them in the last draft, but I got to take them again because how I view it is I got to stream these defenses based off of how like who they play in the first couple of weeks. And so I'm gonna go with the Seattle Seahawks as my starting defense here.
All right, I got my last pick. We're on kicker. I'm gonna go Philly guy.
Well, hey, continue that Philly train. All right, yeah, he's got a boot, so he's good. All right, Antonio, wrap it up with your kicker here.
I mean, kickers are the most inconsistent position in this game, so I'm just gonna close my eyes and pick someone.
Nice. That works.
Nice, Carlson. And I'll go with Jake Moody here. Pretty decent kicker for the 49ers, so I like it there.
All right, so that wraps up the draft. We got 16 rounds done. 160 players are drafted. We got 4 teams here, all looking pretty good in my opinion. I don't see too many questionable picks per se, but I want to start with my co-host, Jano. What are your thoughts on the draft?
I think we all had a great draft, to be honest. I mean, you got to understand that every year there's someone new. There's a new, group of tiers of players that kind of take off from there. So, I mean, man, I mean, honestly, I'm looking at Brennan here. Zamir White in the 8th round is a steal. Let's see, Antonio here. He got James Cook in the 5th round. I think James Cook goes earlier in other drafts. He's got Worthy. He's got Mitchell. Spears, who can take off, who I think might be better than Pollard. Justin, you know me, I love my Bijan Robinson. Pacheco in the 4th round, and Kincaid. Kincaid in the 6th round is unbelievable. And I like my team already, so I think we all did good.
Honestly, I don't see any holes most of the ways around. I mean, I don't like that my third receiver is Deontay at the end of the 9th. Brennan, your team looks great. Nico, maybe a little early, but even though you waited till the 5th to get running backs, you still have a good plethora of them. And then Antonio, you got it. Like your team is pretty full. Like it's full. Like that starting lineup's gonna hit. And as you mentioned, I think that's your strategy. You like having some bench players that have like high upside. You get to see early on how they play, and then you can like work them into your lineup. You got a good starting lineup. And then Genoa, I love it. I mean, Jamar and Devontae, 2 of the best receivers in the league. You get to stack them with Burrow. Once Chubb comes back, Chubb and Henry, that would be dangerous with Ken Walker. And then I like Brian Robinson in the 10th. All right, yeah, I like it all around. Brennan, Antonio, you got any thoughts?
I think you're right. Nico might have been a little early. Probably would have liked to go Pacheco there. Hindsight. Some of my running backs, a little questionable, but I like it all around.
Nice.
I would say I'm just looking at your squad here. You do lack a little bit of receivers. If anything, I would have maybe waited on QB or that Zach Moss pick, and taken someone like Worthy, for example. I would probably reach for Worthy at that 8.2 where you took Zach Moss, especially since you already have 3 great running backs before him. So,
right.
But besides that, I think everyone had a hell of a draft. So,
yeah, and this was fun, man. I had a great time. I'm so glad you guys got to join. I mean, this is July. We're still at the end of July, and we got so much more content to roll out. Be more than glad to have you guys on any of the other episodes. I mean, we got just about everything still on the bar to come up. Ranking sleepers, bust breakouts. More mock drafts, Super Bowl predictions, everything you would think about. So I'm really excited what the next month is going to look like. I'm glad we got this one in to end July. So Brennan, Antonio, thank you guys for joining. This was great. And Dween Nation, as always, thanks for listening. In the comments, talk about our drafts. Who did the best, the worst, picks you liked, you didn't. Just your overall thoughts. We'd love to hear it. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, the whole thing. And as Genoa, as always, send us out.
Yo, Dewey Nation, thank you guys for watching. Antonio, Brennan, thanks for joining. We hope to have y'all many, many more times, as we all love to talk about fantasy, man. And Dewey Nation, as always, peace.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.